Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome and a Happy New Year to all of you here in the room and also the global media connected worldwide to our Airbus Commercial Aircraft 2016 annual results press briefing. I also welcome together here with you Fabrice Brégier, President, Airbus Commercial Aircraft, and John Leahy, Chief Operating Officer, Customer, Airbus Commercial Aircraft. You can follow this event live on airbus.com, Twitter under the hashtag Airbus Results, and you can also have your questions already submitted now under the number French country code 763-204025. And please do not forget to name your media you are coming from, because otherwise your question won't be considered. We have uploaded already the presentations, material, the order table on the web. It will be followed by photos, everything which is supporting your writing, your coverage, you will find on our website shortly. And again, we will have two presentations, one by Fabrice Brégier, one by John Leahy, followed by a Q&A session, and all of this will be live submitted. And now, without any further ado, I'm happy to pass on to you Fabrice Brégier, our President, Airbus Commercial Aircraft.
Thank you, Stefan. Good morning, everybody. Welcome here to our Leadership University in Toulouse. It reminds us that behind numbers we have people, and we are investing a lot in the development of our people, and we are very pleased to have this fantastic university here in Toulouse. May I wish you also a very happy and successful 2017. I would like also to, of course, welcome those of you around the world who are following us today through our webcast. So, 2016, how can we sum it up? It was, I believe, a year that not only delivered what we expected, but that surpassed our expectations, and you will see on both deliveries and also orders. At the beginning of the year, the bigger picture for Airbus was clearly challenging, to say the least. We had two new developed aircraft, the A320neo and the A350, and the challenge we were facing was to ramp up the production. And we know this is always difficult. And on top of that, we encountered at the beginning of the year some additional difficulties which were not expected. And especially coming from the supply chain, some of them were quite publicized, if you remember. And on top of that, many of you and the market feedback was to say that there is a slowing down and it will be extremely difficult to achieve what we announced as a book-to-bill target of above 1. So, where do we stand? Regarding first the deliveries. I'm very proud to tell you that we have delivered 688 aircraft, which is a new Airbus record. Last year was 635, if I remember well. It is another year of growth. We enjoyed 14 consecutive years of production increase. And I'd like to express my deep gratitude to not only my teams, but also my industrial partners who made it happen. In December alone, we delivered 111 aircraft, don't go fast to the conclusion that this year we will maintain this delivery across 2017, so we don't intend to deliver 1,200 aircraft, but we did it, and it's clearly demonstrating that we were planning for it, we anticipated that we would be backloaded, and also that the aircraft were in a very good maturity level, because you can't deliver so many aircraft, which is about twice the normal output, in only 1 month without that. We will see for December 17, but I hope we'll not have to strike another record and that we will be a bit smoother during the year. But 2016, especially the first 6 months, were unusually difficult from a production perspective. So you can see the numbers. A second important one is the number of A350s. 49 A350s have been delivered to our customers. It's 3.5 times what we delivered, 14 in 2015. It means that the objective that I set to my teams has been met. And despite the difficulties we faced, especially with cabin equipment deliveries, you remember that after 6 months we had delivered only 12 aircraft. What I told you has been confirmed. The difficulties were the cabin elements, and when we managed to make a breakthrough with our suppliers, we could progressively catch up with 15 deliveries in December. So this objective for me was extremely important, not only because it was largely communicated and our customers were expecting this fantastic aircraft, but also because it was the year of preparation of a smooth ramp-up, and we all know that doing that on a brand new aircraft is extremely challenging. Single aisle, 545 aircraft delivered. It's plus 54 compared to last year, so more than 10% increase, which is remarkable. And also 68 NEOs, which is also very good. Did we have issues on the NEO? Yes, we had. We had some engine maturity issues. We had some difficulties. Did we mitigate their impact and manage to catch up? Yes, also. And I would like to thank my two engine partners, Pratt & Whitney and CFM, for their tremendous efforts, because they largely contributed to support our end-of-year delivery push. We also certified a new aircraft, which is the 321neo with Pratt & Whitney engines. We have strengthened our international manufacturing presence, delivering 51 aircraft from our final assembly line in Tianjin, and also 17 from Mobile, including 321s, and on both assembly lines with a very high level of quality. It was also a good year, I think, for the A330. You remember we had planned for a decrease of production at rate 6. We delivered 66 aircraft, A330ceos, and we adjusted very smoothly this delivery output. So we are in line with our plans, and you can see that we delivered 28 A380s, also meaning one more than last year, where we delivered 27. We also celebrated the 10,000 Airbus delivery, of an A350 to Singapore Airlines. And this means that regarding the deliveries, all our targets were met. Orders and backlog, John will go through that in, of course, more details. The numbers are there on this slide. We got 731 net orders. It means that we achieved a book-to-bill larger than 1. It was not easy because we have such a big backlog, so it was not easy to consolidate it further, but we did it. And now, clearly, our challenge is to deliver this backlog and the aircraft to our customers. You can see 8 new customers on board, a backlog of 6,874 aircraft with value at list price, which is over $1 trillion, 1,000 billion US dollars. Now, a few more details, program by program. So, if I take the 68 deliveries of Neo, 39 were engines with the GTF of Pratt & Whitney and 29 by the LEAP from CFM. We have, on the A320neo, achieved and exceeded all the performance committed to our customers, especially, of course, the fuel burn, but also the noise, the emissions. We also, on the A320neo, enjoyed a good operational reliability. I think on average it's 99.7%. So the engines work well. It doesn't mean they don't need to be improved, but they do the job. And we have a fantastic couple of aircraft with these A320neos. We have certified, you have seen the 321neo from Pratt, and we will move to the certification of the 321 with CFM, I think at the end of the first quarter this year. So this is on track, and the family will soon be complete with the 320, the 321, the 319 will come a bit later. We delivered 222 A321s. It means 40% of our deliveries were made of A321s. And I don't know that if we own the middle of the market, but you know, some other than Airbus have dreamt of it, and I believe that Airbus did it. So we are very pleased with the position of this family, and you will see with the numbers from John that we are largely leading this segment. We are on track to move progressively to rate 60 around mid-2019. We have a backlog. Our issue is to make sure that we can deliver, but we are about at rate 50 right now, and so I believe that we can be extremely confident that we will do it. We, of course, adjust our industrial footprint. I mentioned Mobile, which is a great asset. I can refer also to the 4th assembly line in Hamburg that will be in its final stages of construction and start producing this summer. And also in Toulouse, we have now the capacity to equip the cabins of the 320s, which are assembled here, optimizing our industrial footprint. So a lot of work, but with very good results on the A320 family. A350, I think we can say that it was an exceptional year. We knew we had a good aircraft. We knew that it was challenging to ramp up, but we faced more difficulties than expected, and we went through them. We managed to overcome these challenges. You can see that we delivered aircraft to 11 customers, which is impressive. It means a lot of new heads of versions on top of the number of aircraft delivered. That we, with almost 50 aircraft, not only met our target, but we also delivered 2 Dash 1000 to our flight tests. The A350-1000 has performed its first flight tests starting in November, on the 24th of November last year. We have opened the flight envelope. The aircraft is doing what we expected. This is, of course, always easier to do it with an upgrade of an existing one, but it is quite a challenge. The second one, by the way, has flown yesterday. So we are on track regarding the Dash 1000 flag test campaign. We are also targeting, you remember, delivery of 10 aircraft a month at the end of 2018. We have achieved about 50 aircraft in 1 year. So we have also a linear progression regarding the ramp-up. And I believe we have largely de-risked this program. Another interesting element is the operational reliability of the A350. We have achieved during the last 4 months of 2016 a steady 98.6% of reliability, which is very good after less than 2 years in operations. It confirms that the maturity in service of this aircraft is good, that the design is robust, and of course, we expect to improve it again and to be above 99% in about 1 year time. And on top of that, John will tell you 41 net orders. So a backlog after these deliveries of still above 800 net orders, 818 orders still to be delivered on the A350. A330, beyond the deliveries, we also delivered the first regional version of the A330 to Saudi. We got huge orders, both on CEO and NEO, which is impressive, with 83 net orders. We also launched, you remember, the airspace concept, and the A330neo will be the first one to adopt it. This will be a cabin which will be very similar to the A350 cabin and give an Airbus image and brand to our long-range aircraft. We have also performed the groundbreaking of a cabin completion and delivery center for the 330. This center will be open this year. Again, we are on track. It is in China, in Tianjin, together with our final assembly line. And the development of the A330neo is on track. We have started the assembly at the final assembly line of the A330 on time, and we will have a first flight that we expect during the first half of 2017. A380, so 28 deliveries. It confirms that the break-even that we had achieved in 2017 will also be achieved in 2018. We have very good feedback from the airlines and the passengers. We have, you have seen that, launched the iFly 380 website, and since we launched it, I think we have more than 1 million pages which have been opened on this website by customers, and there is a nice effect on the booking on the A380 flights. If I take Heathrow, I think 10% now of the passengers at London Heathrow traveled on A380s. It was 8% in 15, 6% in 14. It means that despite what I have to accept as a very slow commercial performance so far, we have a future with this aircraft. And we will have more airports in the next 5-10 years, like London, congestions, and this A380 will take, I think, a bigger market share. We are preparing for rate 12, meaning basically 1 aircraft per year. We believe that this is per month. Per month, yes, not per month, not per day, and not per year, per month, sorry. 12 aircraft per year. And the good news is that we know how to do it. We are working very hard to reduce the fixed costs, and so to remain competitive with lower production rates, because now we have a very mature industrial system. And we will accelerate this transition this year. As you know, that with Emirates we agreed to move some deliveries from 17 to 18 and from 18 to 19. Then perhaps a few words on services, because there is a huge potential market on services. And in 2016, all our business lines have grown by a double digit. So revenue performance, which is, I think, very good. We also got big order intakes with long-term maintenance contracts, what we call fly-by-the-hour, as an example. So it was the case with Singapore Airlines, with Cathay Pacific, with Azul. And we have also finalized the acquisition of Navtech. We have now rebranded it as a NavBlue in July last year. And we will develop the digital flight operations domain through this subsidiary, NavBlue. We have a lot to do in this business. We have decided to team up with some of our customers. Singapore Airlines is an example regarding the MRO of the A380 of A350, but we have, of course, other partnership in the training of pilots. We will expand further, and we intend to capture additional revenues, especially through the development of digital technologies, like, for instance, more predictive maintenance, not only at engine, but also, of course, at aircraft level. So it's a big area, I think, of growth for Airbus overall. A last comment on the company, because since the beginning of the year, we are now one Airbus in formation. We have decided, as you know, with Tom Enders, to merge Airbus Group with Airbus. It was, I believe, a natural step towards a consolidated and efficient group. And the idea is very simple, is to become more focused on our core business, is to be more agile, is also to grab synergies out of the group, and especially the digitalization, which is not seen as a threat if you capture these benefits, but which is a huge opportunity for us to improve our production, to improve our performance, to be even stronger in terms of quality of our products, support to the airlines, and ability to develop and produce the family of Airbus aircraft in a more efficient way. So this is the goal of the transformation of Airbus. And you know that on top of my role as president of Airbus Commercial Aircraft, I am also very pleased to be the CEO in formation of the Airbus Group overall, and especially I am in charge of the digital transformation of the operations. So it will be one of the key topics that we will push forward with my colleagues, both for the aircraft also, but also for defense, space, and helicopter activities. So as a conclusion, before handing over to John, very good year, good deliveries, de-risking of the A350, good start of the A320neo, despite some difficulties, and overall consolidation of the backlog. And so I think we are stronger than ever, and we are prepared to continue to grow profitably. Thank you very much. And now, John, I hand over to you for the big show.
Thank you, Fabrice, and a special warm welcome to everybody watching this on the internet right now, especially my friends in Seattle who stayed up very, very late to see what our numbers are. Happy New Year, Kevin. It's nice to see you in your new job. Here's where we are at Airbus in 2016. And I guess it's this one. So we ended November at 600 gross, 410 net, and here's what we put in. 42 undisclosed. There's a place out in Asia that likes to keep things undisclosed for a while. Airbus Defence and Space, 2 A330ceos. That's always good to sell it to them. They don't argue too much about the price. Hong Kong Airlines picked up 9. Hong Kong International, 5 330ceos. An ACJ to a private customer, of course, unnamed. Aviation Capital Group, there may be some confusion. We had 2 orders for 5 each with ACG during the summer, and it was listed as unidentified. Then they ordered in December 25, so they just issued a press release saying we ordered 35, which is technically correct, but the December order was for 25. Then we have Iran, for those quickly doing the numbers, saying, wait a minute, this isn't adding to 100. 2 of the 330s going to Iran, we bought back from a third party who had purchased them from us a year or 2 ago. They are a couple years old, but they haven't been in commercial service, and they're part of our 100 aircraft package. BOC, that's Bank of China, for 5 at the end of the year. Go Air, that's been rumored in the press, in India for 72 A320neos. An undisclosed order from a Middle East customer, which is 20 existing COs converted into NEOs, and then an incremental order for 60 aircraft. And then 10 undisclosed from a company out in Asia. Aeroflot canceled, or we canceled with Aeroflot, I believe it was mutual agreement, 8 A350 XWB-800s. That then gives us 349 gross, 321 net. So for gross total, 949, 53% of the market. In units, 54% of the market in value. Again, this is on the web, and we do have handouts. Net, everyone seems to be focusing on net now, which I think is probably the right way to go. 731 net on units, and 53% net in value, again, at catalog prices. All right, and then we do that again. Now, 1 year doesn't make a trend, so just a snapshot here of looking at where we were for the last 3 years. Just put together, you can see we have about 55% of the market in units and about 53% in value. If you just do a quick division there, you can see net, we're running somewhere around 1,100 aircraft a year on average in terms of orders net. About 1,300 a year on average in terms of gross. So the Airbus position has been pretty stable over the last couple of years. But if you go back for 10 years, you can see that orders and deliveries do tend to bounce around a bit, but we're very proud of the fact that on a gross basis, we come up above 50%, 9 out of 10 times on gross orders and 8 out of 10 times on net orders. Now, people keep asking about cancellations. Well, remember, to run a NEO, or rather CO into a NEO through the order book, what mechanically happens is the CO gets canceled and the NEO gets put in its place. So 72 of the so-called cancellations we had this year are actually just conversions. Like that undisclosed order I commented on before, there are 20 airplanes in the backlog that are being converted from CO to NEO. So of the cancellations, 218 this year, 72 are in fact just conversions. And then something that bit us a bit here, Kingfisher, that wasn't in our production plan. They essentially went bankrupt almost 10 years ago, but they've been trying very hard to resurrect the company. Finally, they threw in the towel, their creditors threw in the towel, and so did we. So we had to take a write-down of their firm order backlog with us of the 82 aircraft. So I thought Stefan did a very good job with that somewhat busy slide. Looks like it was done by one of our engineers, but it does sum everything up very nicely. Deliveries, 688, a record. Our orders, 731. The backlog, a record, about 6,900 aircraft. And look how it really jumped up from where it was back 5 years ago, 2,200 incremental aircraft. Orders moving up as well, book-to-bill of greater than 1. And something as a production company we're very proud of, the rapid ramp-up on the A350 and done with quality. No one has ever ramped up a wide-body program at that rate. And we're very proud of the fact that we did it and did it very well. I think Didier Everard and his team get a big congratulations for that. And then something I always get asked in the Q&A, so we decided to put it in here. Where are these aircraft being delivered to? Well, about 20% to the lessors, about 16% to North America, and then about 20%, 19% into Europe, 31%, of course, in Asia. And for people who wonder about that, India is in the Asian number. It's obviously not in the Middle East number, 14% there. And this is, of course, done by value. So, individual detail. Single aisle, we've got about 53% of that market on a gross basis. Something that a lot of you probably don't know, and some of the financial analysts out there apparently don't know it either. Everyone seems to say to me constantly, well, we all know that Airbus dominates the single aisle market and Boeing controls the wide body market. Well, I'm sorry, we don't see it that way. We've got 55% of the gross orders, and of course we have the VLA over there, where we have 10% of that market, but of course 100% if you count only passenger aircraft. As Fabrice said, it's not a very strong market at the present time. But then going back to the net after cancellations, we have 52% on single aisle. Again, 55% in the wide body market, and 0 in the VLA market, but then they were all freighters, essentially, in the VLA market. Now, here's something else that we constantly get. I think many of you have written about it. The end of the cycle. We're now going down in the cycle. Well, it depends on what cycle you're talking about. If you look at Airbus net orders and deliveries, which I'm going to do here in a moment, you can see here we have net orders. Well, I got to admit, there is an order cycle. There has always been an order cycle in this industry. Back when I started, and I don't want to date myself, but it was over 30 years ago with Airbus, in this industry, the order cycle and delivery cycle were matched almost 1-to-1 with about a 2-year lag. So if you got an order, and it was basically Boeing at that time and McDonnell Douglas, if you got an order within 2 years, you built it. So if orders peaked, you ramped up production. If orders started going back down, you had to start laying people off, slow down production. So the order cycle is still there. But is the delivery cycle still there? Going back 20 years, this is Airbus. For the last 20 years in deliveries, I'm sorry, but I do not see a cycle here. If I go back and I look at orders, yeah, I see a cycle. If I look at deliveries, I do not see a cycle. 14 years, as Fabrice has said, of increased production. 14 years, year after year after year of increasing our production. Next year, as he said, we will increase production again. We'll have maybe precise numbers in February, but at least over 700, which will be another increase in record. Now, does that mean that orders are going up next year? Most likely not. If you go back and look at that cycle, I would say orders are going down next year. My personal opinion is book-to-bill will not be 1 by next year. It doesn't look like it can be. But that doesn't mean we can't increase our production, and we will next year, and we will the year after that, and the year after that. Because my biggest problem as a commercial director, in single aisle at least, is I don't have anything to sell until about 2021. Of course, there's a few one-offs here and there, but we are essentially sold out at this point. We have to build what we already have orders for, not worry about getting new orders. I could use an occasional new order for 380, but that's beside the point. Now, if you look at the backlog, look at the backlog development, 2007 to 2016, a 10-year window. We had 51% of the backlog. Now we've got about 55% of the backlog. We've increased by about almost 3 times. Our competitors increased by a little bit more than 2 times, but both of us have enormous backlogs to draw down on. So I believe they can increase production as well as Airbus. But right now you have to ask them that question. As far as we're concerned, we're definitely increasing production because we have the orders. Single aisle is, of course, driving the market in terms of units. Every 2 seconds, an A320 is taking off or landing somewhere in the world. Every 2 seconds, an airplane is taking off or landing. It's the fastest selling airplane, the most popular airplane in the world today. 13,000 orders, over 7,000 delivered, with a backlog of over 5,000. And by the way, they wanted me to make sure I said that the Neo is over 5,000 right now in backlog. 5,000. Isn't that amazing? The most popular airliner ever built, and one of the most comfortable, quietest, etc. And remember my comments of previous years, this airplane is going to dominate that single aisle market with about 60%. And my competitor keeps saying, no, it won't, no, it won't. It's going to be 50-50 split. Well, I hasten to add that here we are at December 31st, 2016, since the launch of the program, and they launched about 7 months after we did, we've got 58.4% of the market, and I think we'll stay right in that range going forward. Because we create more value. As Fabrice mentioned earlier, on the 321 market, compared to the 737-9, we've got over 80% of that market today. We have the airplanes that the market wants. We're taking the 321 up to 240 seats. Think about that. A single aisle aircraft with 240 seats, and yes, they're 18-inch wide seats. 15% reduction in fuel burn, 50% noise footprint reduction as well. Look at the interiors, and we probably should have gotten a better shot of the individual cabins that JetBlue and American Airlines are flying on their transcon United States flights. Individual private cabins in the aircraft for transcontinental flying. That's never been done in single aisle before. We've got the wider cabin to be able to do it. A330 takes off or lands every 20 seconds somewhere in the world. 1,323 aircraft delivered, over 300 aircraft in the backlog right now. And here's a little tidbit a lot of people don't know. The 787 was brought out to replace the A330 in the marketplace. And that was April 2004. They said it publicly. You just go look it up. Since that airplane came out, forgetting my 350, I'll keep that aside, just the 330 on its own, we've sold more firmly ordered 330s than they've sold 787s since they announced the new game-changing 787. One of the reasons, as you saw in our order book this year, is our all-new A330 Neo. That's right, about half our 80 orders were A330 Neos this year. And it really isn't just different engines clipped onto a 330, it's basically an all-new airplane. It has the new generation engines. It has the same engine as the 787-10, which Boeing and Rolls-Royce will tell you is one of the most advanced engines out there. It has new wings. The wingspan is 4 meters longer. 4 meters longer. It's all retwisted to be optimized. It has new sharklets or winglets on it. And we have a new cabin. We have the A350 cabin. So a passenger getting out of an A350 and changing to an A330 will think he's in the same airplane. This is the all-new A330 Neo. And you save 14% in fuel. That's the airspace cabin, 18-inch wide seats, not 17-inch wide seats, 3 dB quieter than a 787. 3 dB is about 50%. About 50% quieter inside than a 787, and about 20% more fresh air moving through the cabin. Those are important features to help sell this airplane. But most importantly to a lot of airlines is you get the same fuel burn as you would on a 787-9 per seat. You get a wider seat, but you get about the same maintenance cost center, but you get to pay about $20 to $25 million less. Well, one thing they do have on us is range. Yes, you can get about 1,000, 1,500 nautical miles more range, but we are working on, we are working on increasing that range going forward. So, A350 XWB. Over 800 orders. Remember, 330 on its own beat the 787 in terms of number of orders. Then you add on top of that our A350, 800 orders, 64 deliveries, 49 of them, of course, this year, with a backlog of 754 aircraft. 70% advanced new materials, the latest generation engines, unique morphing wing technology. That's, it really does. It bends as it goes forward. And 25% more efficient. My friends in Seattle, a couple of years ago when they announced the 777X, said there is no market for 777-300ERs anymore, and sure enough, they tended to prove it. They're taking production down, I understand, to 3 a month. We disagree. There is a market there. The world just didn't move to a 40, 50 seat larger capacity. There is a market. This 777-300ER was a fantastic airplane. It fit a beautiful niche in the market. And we have the same range. We have the same seat count, but the seats are 18-inch wide, not 17-inch. And we burn about 25% less fuel doing it. We can see why they wanted to move out of that market, but the market is still there. We're going to sell a lot of 350-1000s going forward. And there's the new airspace cabin, a stunning cabin, 6 dB quieter than the 787, which is 75% quieter. That's the log scale. 3 dB is half. Another 3 dB is half of half again. That's 75% quieter. Also 20% more fresh air moving through that cabin. That's why it's selling around the world. 8,000 nautical mile range. Yes, I admit you don't have 8,000 mile range in a 330-900 Neo, but if you need the range, you get it in a 350-900 going forward. And then we have the A380. An A380 takes off or lands every 3 minutes. Best aircraft to capture growing traffic. I'll save you the questions. Would I be pleased with more orders in 16? Yeah, I sure would have been pleased with more orders. We are working some campaigns. The market is getting softer, but I see that my colleagues didn't sell too many 747-8 passengers either. We don't have a freighter version of this. But what's interesting is traffic is doubling every 15 years. And they're not going to build another Heathrow. They're not going to build another Charles de Gaulle or JFK. This airplane will start dominating the market, at least at those 90% of all long-haul passengers who fly through 55 cities today. Those 55 cities will be the hubs operating A380s. And one of them is already working. Heathrow. As Fabrice said, a couple years ago it was 6%. Then it was 8%. 2016, 10% of all the people you will look at as you walk through Heathrow, that's right, you look around with all those crowds, 1 in 10 of those people are getting on or getting off an A380. And next year we expect it to be about 12% of the people at Heathrow. And the same is going to start happening at JFK, excuse me, at LAX, at Hong Kong, at Singapore. It already is happening at Dubai. And the other thing the A380 can do for you, it can enhance the brand. I don't want to comment on celebrity endorsements, et cetera, but several airlines have done that going forward. I particularly liked the Air France advert over there. It really got the tourists' attention when they shot that ad at Versailles. But people use this airplane to enhance their image in ways they would not use any other aircraft, because it is such a unique flying experience with private showers, spas, bars, shopping en route, the widest seats, the residence, first class. It sets new standards for the industry. Passengers love it. In fact, independent studies have shown that 60% of passengers will go out of their way to fly an A380 and will pay more to fly an A380 going forward. Think about that. And traffic doubles every 15 years. So the fact is the 380's day will come. I assure you of that. Anyway, that's our story. We've sold 17,000 aircraft since the start of this company. We've delivered 10,000 of those, hitting that big milestone last year. And we have a backlog of about 6,900 aircraft worth at catalog prices, and I hasten to add at catalog prices, $1 trillion US. So all in all, we're very pleased with 2016. Now, Stefan wants to host a Q&A, I believe. Okay. You want us over here now? Okay.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Fabrice. And now we are ready to take your question, and you can still drop your question on the SMS tool with the number. Can we have the number, please, again displayed for the Q&A session? And we are ready to take the first question, and the first question goes to Stefan Weyer from DPA AFX.
Good morning. Just a question on a topic which I miss. Where are your targets for production and for new orders for 2017? Can you comment on this? And especially on the A380, John, you didn't give a target for last year, but do you have any hint if we can expect A380 orders in 2017?
I start with the deliveries, so we'll continue to ramp up. And as of today, I can tell you we'll be above 700 deliveries. Then we will refine this number and give you probably a more precise one during the Airbus group press conference. I think it's on the 22nd of February.
And with regard to the A380, thank you for pointing out that we did not set a target for sales in 2016, so we clearly did not miss that target. So I'm going to follow with that trend and not set a target for sales of the A380 in 2017. But as I said before, this is an airplane whose time will definitely come. We are taking down the production to match demand out there, but passengers love it, the airlines operating it love it, and traffic doubles every 15 years.
Next question comes from the webcast.
Yes, hi. We've got a question from Olivier James from L'Usine Nouvelle. He's saying Fabrice Brégier said in early 2016 that Airbus will deliver more planes than Boeing in 2019. Is this objective maintained?
If I said it, yes, I have to avoid to contradict myself. So yes, I believe it will be the case. I don't know the projections of our competitor regarding the deliveries, but you could see that last year they delivered a little bit less aircraft than a year before. So it seems that they are a bit on a plateau, and I confirm that we will deliver 60 single aisles per month during 2019. So we have this growth potential, and if we deliver that with a ramp-up of the A350, with also some increase in production of the A330 moving nicely to NEO, we can also lead the deliveries. However, is it so important for us? Not really. We have the biggest backlog, so it should be translated into bigger deliveries one day. Otherwise, there is something wrong in that. But what counts for me, what counts for my employees, what counts for Tom Anders, the shareholders, and the market is that we will continue to grow and to grow fast as we did in 2016 for the next years to come.
Next question in the room. Robert Wall, Wall Street Journal.
Good morning. Just a couple of questions on 320 NEO deliveries. What's your expectation for this year, particularly how backloaded will it be? And at what point do you think you'll deliver more NEOs than CEOs at this rate?
Well, Robert, it will be also a bit backloaded. This is clear for a simple reason, which is that we will continue to ramp up. So if we ramp up, we are more backloaded. But you know, we have probably around another 20 aircraft on the tarmac, so we need to catch up for the deliveries. Having said that, I believe that we will probably about triple the number of NEO deliveries. So this is the order of magnitude what I expect. Then we will start to reduce the CEO output, but the CEO market remains extremely solid and extremely robust, and you don't know how many customers knocked at John's door to say, which is not Heather's door. Huh?
No, it's not.
It's do you have CEOs available right now? So the transition is less sharp than what we expected 3-4 years ago. In other terms, we'll continue to deliver, I think, quite a substantial number of CEOs beyond 2017.
Next question goes to Tim Heifer from Reuters.
Thanks very much. Could I just come back to your target? I mean, you clearly had an extraordinary year on deliveries, 688. This time last year, you were forecasting 650. And then your colleague, Harold Wilhelm, sort of said it would be higher than that, but the official company guidance is still more than 650. Why is there such a gap? Is there some volatility in your planning on deliveries, and will that smooth out this year? And then I have another question. Thank you.
The target was more than 650, so I think we achieved the target.
Well, you could have said more than 350 in that case. I mean, normally your targets are remarkably precise.
No, but then we readjusted it at 670, I think, in November. And this is true that the December performance is exceptional. And otherwise, we would have been between 670, 680. But it means that we have managed to catch up both on the A350 and the 320 neo.
Okay, thank you. And can I just ask about the wide-body market? You mentioned that 2 of the aircraft for Iran are aircraft that were originally meant for somebody else. So that, I mean, there are aircraft around in the wide-body market. How do you feel that the wide-body market has hit bottom now, or is it going to go through another pretty tough year?
Well, once again, you've got to differentiate between an order cycle and delivery cycle. I would see that deliveries can be maintained. Orders might be down. I made no secret of the fact that I would be very surprised if we got anywhere near one-to-one in book-to-bill, or even our colleagues in Seattle doing the same thing. But the order cycle, which is definitely there and has been around for 30 years, at least at Airbus for the last 20 years, is not linked to the delivery cycle.
The next question goes to Andreas Speth.
Same thing would be true there. Yeah.
I have a question about the very large aircraft market in general and about the A380 in specific. Starting with the A380, you have a backlog of 112 aircraft at the moment for the A380. But looking at the order book, there's some people like Virgin Atlantic still in there, Amedeo, Air Accord, so it's leasing companies. How many hard orders do you see out of these 112? And second question is, isn't it time to concede for both manufacturers that basically the market has sold as many aircraft as possible, but it's just not bigger than this, as we see this market is really not very viable at the moment? Thanks.
You know, to tell you the truth, I don't want to repeat my presentation all over again, but I cannot comprehend how that market could be satisfied now when you look at traffic doubling every 15 years. So 15 years from now, there'll be double the number of RPKs. So what are we going to do at Heathrow? We're going to build a second Heathrow next to it. We're going to build a second Charles de Gaulle. We're going to build a second JFK, LAX. If you go to Beijing right now, they're building another hub airport because the Beijing International Airport is already saturated. Now, the Chinese can do it. I think that's about the only place in the world you're going to see a major new international airport being built in the next 15 years. That being the case, unless you want to have, and you can't have double the number of aircraft movements, unless you want to have a restriction on people flying, you will need bigger aircraft. It just so happens the 380 is one of those big aircraft that's smooth, that's quiet, that's fuel efficient, and that passengers, 60% of them, will go out of their way to fly on and will pay more to fly on. So it's clearly got a future, in my opinion. And we do have a backlog. And no, I'm not going to go through line item by line item on the backlog, but we do have a strong backlog. I would like it to be stronger. Of course I would. And by the way, and don't discount, everybody likes to discount Amedeo. Amedeo is financing A380s all around the world today. They are probably the single largest financier of A380s in the world.
Next question comes in from webcast.
It's a question from Vincent Lamijon from Challenge. Do you plan further increase of the A350 production rate after 2018? And is rate 13 planned for the 2019-20 timeframe?
Above
A350
A350.
rate
Are you going to go back?
beyond 18.
Well, this is not our main focus right now. We have first to grow in 17, then to achieve rate 10 at the end of 18, and depending on the market, we will see. We know that if we produce 10, we can probably produce a little bit more aircraft per month with minor additional industrial investment. We did it in the past on each and every program, including wide bodies. So we will see.
Next question goes to Christian Böhmer from DPA, Newswire, German. Newswire.
Bonjour, good morning. I have a question concerning your deal with Iran Air. You announced in November, I guess, the deal about 100 airplanes. Boeing announced 1 month later the deal they had with Iran Air worth $16.16 billion. I would like to know if informations from Iran are correct that your deal is worth around $10 billion. And second question in this area, when do you plan to deliver the first airplane to Iran Air? Thank you very much.
Well, we don't communicate on the net price of the contracts, but I'm sure Stefan can give you the list price. It's 19 billion?
I believe.
About 19 billion US at catalog price.
Catalog price.
Then, as a matter of fact, we will have the first delivery of A321 to Iran Air just early this afternoon. And you are, of course, most welcome to attend it. There will be the president and CEO of Iran Air, Mr. Fabrice, and this aircraft will fly tomorrow to Tehran.
Next question we have here in the front row, please.
Amir Paivar, BBC Television. As a follow-up question, actually, when will be the following deliveries to Iran, apart from the one today? If you have any ideas, any deliveries before May? And also, second question is, what provisions are seen in OFAC licenses in case the President-elect Trump wants to rattle Iran deal, and hence, as a result of that, the permit to sell civilian airplanes to Iran will be scrapped?
Should I take it, John? Yeah, I'm an expert at that. You know, it was a complex process to get all the clearances from the first announcement at the end of January, after what is called the JPCOA international agreement came into force. We applied for all the licenses, especially to the US administration, to OFAC. We got them, and this is where we stand right now. And so we don't bet on what will happen. There is an international environment. We totally abide by the rules, both European, international, and American, and we will continue to do so. Regarding your first question, you can ask our customer. They are the one to give the details. But I would not be surprised that we would be in a position to deliver other aircraft this year.
Next question comes in from the webcast.
It's a question from Sweeter Jane from Gulf News. What's the status of the A380neo? Emirates says they're not confident of Airbus producing it as they would like it to be. Would you still pursue or give up?
Well, we have studied the evolutions, possible evolutions, you call them A380neo of this aircraft, and we came to the conclusion that the time was not yet there to launch it. To do that, we would need, of course, to inject some development costs, and we would need to have a better environment from a market perspective, and also a clear return on investment. So we decided to keep what really makes sense, which is to increase the seat count whilst, as John said, keeping the big advantage of the A380, which is the quality as perceived by the passengers, the bars, the restrooms, the showers and all that. And this is what we are doing right now. Regarding Emirates, what I can say is that I'm very grateful that they are such a strong supporter of the A380 and that they are challenging us to say, we want to buy more, we want the new version, we will be your big launch customer. So I believe, on top of what John said regarding the market perspective for big aircraft on congestion airport, this is also a key for the future success of the A380 and future versions of this aircraft.
Next question goes to Sebastian Steinke, Flugrevue.
Good morning. I have a question concerning the A321. This is a very successful program. You have a sort of monopoly on the market in this size of airplanes. Would you like to have a slightly bigger version of it, let's say a 322 or something? And is this technically feasible? What's Airbus' strategy with the bigger single aisles? Thanks very much.
I don't see any real need for a 322 at this point. Remember I said we could go to 240 seats. And the one thing I should mention, about 170 conversions in our order book in 2016 were A320s being moved into A321s. And you really don't see that. It's just sort of churning within the order book itself. But we'll be producing over 50% of all of our A320 family as A321. It's a winner now. Over 80% of the market. It's the ideal middle-of-the-market airplane. A small, stubby, little light twin will inherently be less efficient than a single-aisle airplane. And we have a comfortable single-aisle airplane with good range. We're talking to our engineers about pushing that range up another couple hundred miles. But all in all, the market loves the airplane, and there's no reason to change it.
The next question goes to David Kaminski from Flight.
Good morning. The A330neo timeline, it was fairly ambitious to begin with, but I understand the delivery has slipped by a couple of months. Is that to do with the engine not being ready, or is there some other bottleneck that's holding that up?
Well, we are on track regarding the aircraft. It's true that Rolls-Royce is a little bit late. It's not due to the performance of this engine, which has been tested and which will deliver the appropriate performance, but this is the cumulative effect of working hard on the production of a 350, 900, developing the 97,000 pounds thrust for the Dash 1000, what they do on the 787, and also, of course, on this aircraft. As a matter of fact, we can push the entry into service to the first half of 2018 for two reasons. First of all, because we were more successful than what we expected on the 330CO, and so we have to serve our customers. And second one, because the first launch customer of the 330neo, if I'm correct, John, is TAP, and TAP, I think, has planned spring 2018. So this is still compatible with all that.
Next question goes to the webcast.
Sorry. It's a question from Jorge Penalba from Aviation Review. Fabrice, you mentioned new efficiency measures being developed for the A280. Can you please be more specific?
For the A380? Well, it's largely around the seat count. Because I don't think it's fair to compare 777 or 350-1000 with a high-density cabin and a 380, which brings much more comfort to each and every passenger, including the economy class. So what we studied is that we could probably add close to, 50 seats, meaning 10% immediate efficiency, optimizing the cabin layout whilst keeping the unique features of comfort and space that the passengers of our customers appreciate.
Next question goes to Financial Times, Peggy Hollinger.
Hi, okay, thank you. Good morning, Happy New Year. Just to go back briefly to the market and your outlook, you said, John, that you'd be very surprised if we see a book-to-bill of anywhere near 1 this year. Can you talk a bit about the outlook for cancellations and deferrals? We've seen a lot of conversions, but there is beginning evidence that we're beginning to see a rise in deferrals. So if you could talk about that, and also tell us where you see the vulnerabilities for this, given that the market seems to be changing a little bit.
Yeah, and again, Peggy, it goes back to the distinct separation between an order cycle, which is there, and delivery cycle, which I believe over 20 years we've proven that we can smooth out. So deferrals don't bother me that much because right now we are overbooked, and if I don't get some deferrals, somebody's going to be very unhappy. So that's one thing that's manageable. We deal with that every day. In fact, right now there are probably people talking to my staff about moving some delivery slots back and forth. Cancellations I obviously don't like because that's somebody leaving the program. They rarely happen. The Kingfisher one was the big chunk that you saw last year, and that was a bankruptcy. So I'm not concerned about 2017. I'm confident that we'll have a new record 15 years in a row in deliveries, and I would expect in 2018 there'll be a new record on top of that. That doesn't mean that orders are going to be strong during that period at all.
Next question in the room. Is there a question from webcast?
Yes, we have a question. It's from Richard Schumann, is a freelance aviation reporter. What is the status of the A319neo program? When is the first flight and the first delivery?
I think that we plan to certify the A319neo next year, if I am correct. We adjusted it to the customer demand.
Any other question? Yes, please.
Alan Tuvey, Daily Telegraph. Just going back to the A380, the rate's been cut to 12 from 2018. Just how low can it go before it stops breaking even?
Well, we went a long way. You remember that even at rate 3, we were loss-making on this program. Then we announced to you that at rate 2, we would target a break-even. So now the challenge is to continue to reduce the fixed costs, the production costs, to be smarter in the way we assemble the aircraft, to make sure that we can sustain rate 1 for a couple of years before hopefully going up again. So this is the plan as of today. Of course, to do that, we will need additional orders. Having followed up closely some of the campaigns, I believe that there is the potential to get additional orders, which would get us through this low tide and then go up again. Why not with additional evolutions of the A380 family?
Next question goes to Jens Flottau, Aviation Week.
Yeah, good morning. I was wondering what your current thinking on the A350, the proposed A350-2000 is, the further stretch that you've been thinking about. Thank you.
Well, you have seen this is clearly not the top priority regarding the A350. It was the ramp-up of a 900. I think it's largely ticking the box. This was the operational reliability of this aircraft. This is on its way and very well done at the end of the year. This was the first flight of a Dash 1000. It will be the certification, the entry into service, the delivery of the first Dash 1000 to Qatar Airways, our launch customer. And this Dash 1000, I confirm what John says, will take not 100%, but will take a big percentage of the current market, which is represented by the 777-300ER. Because it's an exchange 1-for-1 with 25% better fuel burn performance. Then You are right that we have been studying at low pace a further stretch and a further evolution of the 2000, and we are still studying whether, first of all, it would make sense from a market perspective, and on the other hand, what would be the detailed performances of such a stretch version.
Next question goes to the global webcast.
It's a question from Delphine Tillot from Investir. Is there still some difficulties due to the supply chain for the A350 and the cabin, or have every difficulties now disappeared?
No, we have still some difficulties, but this has improved a lot. In other terms, we were just blocked till summer last year because we were not getting, you remember, for instance, the lavatories and some business class seats. Things have started to improve, but with a low level of quality, meaning that we had to make a lot of efforts during the equipment of the cabin to fix these quality issues and these details, which are not acceptable for our customers. Then progressively, our suppliers are doing a better job, but we expect to receive these cabin elements not only quantitatively in line with our ramp-up. I believe this one is no longer a big risk, but also with a perfect quality. So what I have asked my teams to do is to have a stricter quality inspection in the premises of the suppliers to guide them towards the level of quality which is expected by our customers. And when you launch an A350, it's a brand new aircraft, so it means our customers demand a level of quality which is even higher than what they would do on a normal program. So we need also to educate the supply chain. They are on their way. Some need to continue to make efforts.
Next question goes to Jan Koschnek from Air and Cosmos.
Happy New Year first. Sorry, maybe I missed something, but how many A320neo do you plan to deliver in 17? Maybe you already answered the question, but I missed it, if ever you did answer.
I did it, so I will leave it to John, who will repeat what I said. If he listened to me, not sure.
No, we're going to deliver a lot.
No. So he didn't listen to me. I said about 3 times what we delivered in 16.
And the one thing, if I can just, all joking aside, clearly, guys, and later on in the private, interviews, we aren't going to give forecasts, generic stuff, but we really can't. There'll be in February 22nd forecast. But to tell you the truth, I think we do many more forecasts than our competitor does, and I don't know why we do that. But anyway, today we've been clearly instructed not to give you any forecasts, so it's not us just personally.
So I didn't tell you I will intend to deliver 3 times the number.
At least 3 times the number.
Is there any other question in the room? If not, I will close the press briefing for today. Thank you, John. Thank you, Fabrice. Thank you, dear colleagues from the media, for making the way today to our press briefing. Also, thank you for the global media community connected. Please stay with us. The next major press event will be the communication of the Airbus results, including the financial figures and the outlook on the 22nd of February. You will also have the availability to watch this digital. And please, stay tuned with us. If you have any further questions, please transfer them to our media hotline, and we will answer them as they come along. Thank you very much, and have a good day.